Hello, everybody. Welcome to 3 o'clock with Stock. Today we have a great program for you all, but just give me a second so I can welcome Spanish-speaking neighbors onto the interpretation line. Buenas tardes, muchísimas gracias por estar aquí en Punto con SOC. Como siempre, ustedes pueden escuchar nuestro foro comunitario en español a través de una llamada de conferencia. Y el número que hay que marcar aparece aquí en la pantalla, 646-749-3122. Y luego hay que introducir la contraseña, cual es 779-328-221. I'm Gabe Charles. I'm the program manager and organizer with Southside Organizing Center. And I do want to remind you all that you can access these videos of our live forums after we go live at 3 p.m. every day. So you can always go to our Facebook page, no matter what time of the day, to see these videos, as well as our YouTube page. So just keep that in mind. If this isn't the best time for you all, you can, of course, still always see these forums after the fact. And speaking of which, I would love to see who's here with us right now. Give us a like, give us a heart, give us a hello in the comments so we can know who's here with us. We always love to know that we're not just here talking to ourselves, and we love the interaction. And that can happen at any point, even if we're not live. Feel free to comment any questions or anything that comes to your mind whenever you watch it, even if it's after we're live. Today we have, I'll be playing an interview that will be replayed from the interview that happened with Marcela Xela García, who is running for School Board District 6, which is in the heart of the South Side. And I think it's a great way to celebrate International Women's Day to have a badass Chicana woman on our forum talking about all the things that she hopes to do for the District 6 School Board District 6. And this is an uncontested race, so she's the only candidate that will be up for this position. So we'll just play this interview with her, and it talks about her vision for this district and for MPS as a whole. And, you know, it's always important to hear what these candidates think about these different issues that MPS is facing, and just always important to stay tuned into local elections. So I will go ahead and play this interview with Xela García, and please feel free to comment any questions, and I'll be entering comments into the comment section throughout the time as well. And we also have Marlene doing comments as well, so big shout out to Marlene for helping us out today. And we also had some of our SOC youth organizers give the welcome and ask some of the questions throughout the interview as well, and give the goodbye at the end as well. So we are excited to see the youth organizers engaging in these sorts of forums as well. So enjoy, and we'll be back after this short interview.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Juan Samaripa, and I'm a youth organizer with the Southside Organizing Center. On behalf of Schools and Communities United, Leaders Igniting Transformation, Southside Organizing Center, Hmong American Women's Association, African American Roundtable, Black Leaders, Organizing for Change, the American Civil Liberties Association Youth Organizers, and Parents for Public Schools of Milwaukee, I welcome you all here today, candidates and viewers. Every election matters, and local elections impact our day-to-day lives more so than the big national elections. Milwaukee has 4 school board seats up for election on the April 6th ballot. Our public schools are the heart of our communities and the cornerstones of democracy. We owe it to the students and the community to not only envision the school and the communities children deserve, but to see them through to reality. Our format today will be introductions, alternating questions from partnered organizations, and closing remarks. Each response will be timed, and we apologize in advance. We will be cutting off responses if time expires. If there is time left at the end, we may be able to take questions from the audience. Again, thank you for joining us today. Welcome, Xela García. Please take the next 2 minutes to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for all the organizations that put this together. Again, my name is Marcela Xela García, and I am the candidate that is currently running uncontested for District 6 for a seat in the Milwaukee Public Schools Board of Directors. I was born in Mexico and grew up here in Milwaukee. So my roots within my district are lifelong. I am a proud alumni of Milwaukee Public Schools, having attended Allen Field, Samuel Morse Middle School, and Rufus King High School. I currently serve as the executive director at Walker's Point Center for the Arts, where I've had the privilege of working with youth and community folks to really look at ways that we can make this world better through creativity and art. My experience in leadership runs back, about 20 years as an active student in high school, through college, and now in my current involvement in the community, where I've served on multiple boards and advisory committees for different organizations that really look at improving the quality of life for folks in our community. So thank you for having me here today.
Our first question this evening comes from SOC.
Hi, my name is Ariana and I'm a SOC organizer from, I'm a youth organizer from SOC, and my question is, refugee and immigrant students face additional challenges regarding limited language access and cultural competency provided by their schools. Additionally, there was a complaint filed against NPS allegedly that the district was discriminating against Hispanic English language learners by failing to provide appropriately trained staff, adequate services, and comparable curriculums for this program. How do you propose to address this?
Well, I think that, as a candidate within a district where there's a lot of schools that have multilingual and bilingual education programs, like I mentioned earlier, I'm also a product of the bilingual education program here in MPS. So I have experienced the benefits of what a program that's properly implemented, properly staffed can result in. And the fact that we are right now facing a crisis in teacher recruitment as well as teacher retention, I think that's one of the major things that, as a board member, I will begin to address. I know that MPS within the last couple of years has funded an initiative specifically within the Grow Your Own initiative, where they're specifically looking to train and grow paraprofessionals that are currently working in bilingual education programs to train them, to get them certified to become teachers. And I think this is really important because not only are we looking to empower the folks that have already committed to the youth within our district, but it's also providing an opportunity for them within, career development. I think that when we look at the demographic composition of the students within our district, and specifically within District 6, we see that it's really, really important to have teachers that are culturally congruent with the families and the students that they serve. I think that in my district, there's, specifically looking at the rich history of what bilingual education has been. Milwaukee has been leading in the forefront of what that can look like. And I think that it's time that we go above what is demanded by law, invest in teachers to be able to adequately train them, and most importantly, provide the support to breathe life into the programs that, benefited me greatly and allowing me the opportunity to be bilingual professional.
Thank you. The next question is posed by Block.
Good afternoon. My name is Kiva Guy, and I'm from Block, Black Leaders Organizing for Communities, and I am glad that we are here. My question is, what safety measures do you firmly believe we have in place to ensure children will be safe from contracting COVID-19 within the schools?
Thank you for the question, Kavia. I think that when we're looking at COVID-19 response, I think that as a district, we are being supported through the state support to vaccinate educators. I think that that's step number one in ensuring that vaccination is available for folks who have direct contact with students, then prioritizing that out into, folks that work in those buildings. I also think that enough PPE should be provided for families. When we're analyzing the cleaning measures, I think that needs to be robust, and each school building needs to take into account what that can look like for, their preparations to ensure that, communal areas are thoroughly cleaned, so that we can try to mitigate, the transmission of COVID-19. But I think that one of the major challenges that we're going to have to confront is, how do we adequately provide, the 6 feet distancing within the classroom setting. So I think that that's something that, the board is going to have to work with administration to really look at how that can be done. I as someone who believes in science and someone who is looking for directives, not only from the CDC, but from the, Wisconsin State Health Department, really looking at what that, recommendations can be, I think is going to help drive a lot of the things that we have to have in place in order to ensure that our communities are least impacted. And this is really important because as we see, our communities are living through dual pandemic of not only COVID-19, but racism. So the populations within the Milwaukee School District have been heavily hit with the disproportionality. I think that has really come to light. So I think that my role as a school board member is really centering the safety of students and families, and helping find ways that we can address, the multiple traumas that we have all been living through as, people of color.
Thank you for that response. And I would like to queue up Lit with the next question.
Good afternoon. My name is Jalen. I'm here with Leaders Uniting Transformation, pronouns he, him, his. The screen just went black. I can't see the question.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I can't see the screen. It went black.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just read it for you. So it says, in June of 2020, Director Phillips and Taylor introduced a resolution to end the repeating contracts between MPD and MPS. The resolution also called on the district to lobby the state to eliminate the TAB statute and for metal detectors to receive no further maintenance. Do you fully support this resolution? What is your plan to ensure that this resolution is actually carried out and in practice, and that we continue to work towards the decriminalization of BIPOC students?
Thank you, Jalen, and everyone for the question. I think that the root of this is really, as folks in our community coming to terms with the friction of what, when we talk about marginalized identities and oppression, the Milwaukee, unfortunately, the police department has really been part in a lot of the trauma that has disproportionately affected specifically, Black and brown males in our city. So I absolutely support, completely and fully support the resolution to cut ties with the Milwaukee Police Department. I think that when we're analyzing the issue of metal detectors, as someone who, again, I went to Rufus King High School, and metal detectors were not necessarily a part of our daily, going into class routine, but it was sporadic. And I do remember that feeling of being scared. And I think that a lot of the times these type of initiatives are a result of folks who don't necessarily understand the direct or indirect implications of what policies can result in. I think that my priority as a board of director is really to try to find ways to lessen the trauma that unfortunately our student populations have already, been exposed to in many ways and forms, within their communities. And one thing to say here too is that, when we're analyzing ways to look at ways to protect safety, I think that's a very loaded question, loaded term that's many ways masks the fear and racism of against Black and brown males. And I think that it's important for us to, address that within the school district. When we look at, anti-racist training for staff, I'm very much pro doing that. And I think that it's important to look at ways that aren't criminalizing our students, but that are really empowering them and giving them the confidence and the trust, that they can carry out, the direction of their life, and a school environment should really be nurturing that and not further supporting the oppression that we see our youth bombarded with.
Thank you for that. Next up will be Paul with HAWA.
Hello, my name is Paul Vang with the Hmong American Women's Association, pronouns he, him, his. So one thing is, some of our most vulnerable young people are those who identify as LGBTQ+. These young people are also most likely to be impacted by violence, whether interpersonal or whether symbolic or domestic violence. What do you believe is the school's responsibility in making sure that these children are protected?
Thank you, Paul and Hawa, for the question. I think that it's 100% a responsibility to keep all students safe. Going back to the idea of the multiple, intersectionality of identities, when we're looking at, students of colors, and then, the fact that right now as a society, there's a lot of questioning of existence. And I think that an education environment should not be a place where folks are invalidated of who they are. Our role is to affirm, our role is to protect, and our role is to ensure that these students are just like any other student that we would care for. And, as a school board director, I would champion all any type of initiative to ensure that rights are protected, whether that's, the usage of bathrooms, whether that's a participation in clubs. I think our duty as the adults making these decisions is to formulate safe spaces and to push other adults to really see the importance of what validating a whole person can be.
Thank you for that response and for your question. Our next question comes from the ACLU.
Hi, I'm Hope, the youth organizer at the ACLU of Wisconsin, pronouns she, they. And my question is, what is your plan to involve the community, students, families, education workers, et cetera, in decision-making? And how do you plan to ensure that their feedback and opinions will be incorporated into the decisions of the board?
Hello, Hope, and thanks ACLU for that question. I think that an integral part of at least what my hope as a board member is, when we talk about, public schools, we say that that's the cornerstone of democracy. I think that decision-making is paired with that, and that decisions need to be done hand in hand, with all the folks that, this question mentions, the students, the families, the education workers. I think that there is as a society, we cut ourselves short when we limit the type of folks that should be part, or that who should know best as to what students need. And my hope is to, instead of making that narrow, I think that it's important to make that a wide space for folks to, participate in what that decision-making can happen. I think at the root of this, when we talk about power, It's my role as a board of directors to see how that can be distributed, amongst, the communities that got me elected into this position. And that includes everything from the budgetary process. I think so we need to find ways to include the input of our community into those processes. When we talk about, program implementation, I know there's a couple initiatives that are trying to increase the participation of families. But I think right now, I was, as I was preparing, for, our conversation, I've been going through a lot of documents that, not only mention, budgets and whatnot, but really looking at ways that, when we're anticipating what MPS is going to look like, I think that the folks that we have currently need to really, we need to do a better job at incorporating just, the different stakeholders. And I say this because when we're looking at enrollment for MPS, the data shows that we're on a downward trajectory as far as numbers goes. So the only way that I think that we can really address that is to really build genuine relationship, with the families, with our community members in ways where, not only just because we want them enrolled in our schools, but because I think that's how you retain students. That's how you look forward to being part of, these different schools environments.
Thank you for that. I believe that we have time. We prepared 5 questions, but also left a little time if we have questions submitted from the audience or the chat. And I think Jasmine Roberson is going to pose us a question, and you'll have 2 minutes, Xela, for this one.
Awesome, thank you. I am Jasmine, pronouns she, her. I am with Leaders Igniting Transformation. And I do have a question that was submitted to the RSVP link. So the first one is, what are your ideas on how to eradicate the school to prison to deportation pipeline?
Oh, that's a good one. All right, thank you, Jasmine and Lynn, and the person that submitted, that question. I think that goes hand in hand with the question with, the police department, and really analyzing the partnerships that we have and what those partnerships really say about the values that we uphold as leaders. I think that as a school board director, I can't emphasize enough the prioritizing of student health, of community wellness, and that goes along, with the physical and mental well-being of our students and families, and the different systems of oppression that are interlocked, even within our education system. I think we're starting to really have a more increased awareness of what that is and the horrible impact that has. When we look at Milwaukee and how the narrative is told by folks outside of Milwaukee, it tends to be a very deficit model. I think that there's a lot of strength, particularly within our families that have immigrated, to this country. My family immigrated to the United States, and acknowledging the fact that, Milwaukee is also a place where, refugees, immigrants have a place in our society. And I think that the education system is really a way for us to validate again, and find ways that we can really cut ties with any type of partnership that says otherwise. And this includes, I know that MPS is a safe haven for within, when we're talking about deportation. I hope that is still something that continues to reflect, the values of safe space, not only for, our undocumented families and students, but, throughout of everyone who makes up our community.
Thank you so much, and thanks for taking that audible question, and to Jasmine for asking it. We would just like to open it up, Xela, for you for 2 minutes for sort of your closing case, or anything that we didn't ask about tonight that you want to make sure that our viewers and listeners hear. So 2 minutes for whatever extra you want to give us tonight.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, thank you for, having the coordinating this and having me be a part of this conversation. One of the major things, as we went through the process of me being a candidate, is the fact that this is an uncontested race, meaning that there's really no opponent that's I'm going up against. And I think that really changed the way that I'm approaching this work, and it's very much rooted in community building. So despite me not necessarily having the I guess like the competition, I think that the real competition here is how we can involve more folks, even in voter turnout. I think that's really, really important as well. And my commitment is 100% to the folks in Milwaukee. I think that my lived experience is someone who identifies as a Chicana woman who is leading an arts organization in a sector that is very predominantly white. Has taught me a lot about what resilience looks like, what most importantly define what leadership can look like. And like I said, my goal is to have more folks participate and join in what education can look like. I don't have any children of my own, but throughout all of my career in nonprofit, I've worked with youth development and leadership development. And that's definitely one of the biggest focal points that I think we can, work on, as a school district, is really finding the ways that we can leverage, the connections, even among the organizations here that organize today's dialogue, to really find ways to continue to empower, and again, continue to validate and really challenge that negative deficit narrative of what Milwaukee is. I'm a proud daughter of immigrants, proud bilingual person, and to me, I'm here to serve. So, everyone has access here to, my campaign email, as well as, Xela for MPS on Facebook, Instagram. Feel free to connect with me. I am here to serve, and that's what I want to continue to do, and do it in a way that is genuine to the community in which I grew up in.
Thank you so much, Xela. I'd just like to offer the floor to Yasmin from SOC to close us out, and we will end and take a couple-minute break for our viewers, and start up again with the next forum right at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, I mean. Yasmin?
Hi, my name is Jasmine Ruiz, and I'm a youth organizer at SOC. I would like to thank all of you for joining us today. If you or someone you know needs to access information about voting and who is in the ballot, visit myvote.wi.gov. Best wishes and good night.
I hope you all thought that was a useful interview to listen to. I know I really enjoyed hearing what the candidate had to say, what Xela had to say, and thankful to all of the organizations that took part in organizing this forum. They're so very important to keep us plugged into what's to come with our local politics. And like I said, there are multiple links that are in the comment section for you all to see future candidate forums that are coming up, how to check out that myvote.wisconsin.gov website to look at who's on your ballot and to request your absentee ballot as well. And now I'll just play a short video made by Juan Samaripa, who gave the welcome to the interview for the forum. So I will give you a video that he made about why he would get the vaccine when it's available to him.
Hi, my name is Juan. The reason I'm going to get the COVID vaccine is because I want to protect my loved ones, like my grandma and my father, along with all the other people I know who have pre-existing conditions, which puts them at higher risk. Even though I plan on getting the vaccine, that doesn't mean I'll stop wearing masks and practicing social distancing. This is something that we all must do until it's safe not to. Also, if you fall in the phases eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine, go to city.milwaukee.gov/COVIDvax to register for the COVID-19 vaccine. Someone will be in contact with you once you have this filled out. Thank you.
And I do just want to share some guests that we're going to have on for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, we're going to have Lauren Zenz from the Artworks for Milwaukee organization talking about their youth programs. Then on Wednesday, we're going to have Pedro Hernandez from Legal Aid Society on to talk about evictions once again and what are some updates about different protections that you have for evictions. Then on Thursday, we'll have Claire Evers on, the Deputy Commissioner of Environmental Health, to give us a COVID update from the city. And then Friday, we're going to have Liana Yang on from HAWA, Hmong American Women's Association, to talk about women's history. And we're really looking forward to all of these guests. So definitely join us on the following days of the week, and we'll talk about some cool stuff. And I will leave you all with a promo video for our survey. We love getting your feedback and ideas for future forums. So go ahead and click that link in the comments and fill it out. We would really appreciate it.
Has this live forum been informative and useful to you? What part of the forum could be improved or changed to make it better? Please take a quick survey that's located in the comments section so that we can keep 3 o'clock with SOC going for residents. Thank you for tuning in.